few years ago, I came across a simple idea that helped to change the way I deal with stress. It wasn't complicated, it wasn't revolutionary. In fact, it almost seemed too simple to matter. But I found that some of the simplest ideas end up changing your life the most. And the idea is this: there are things I control, there are things I influence, and there are things that I don't control at all. And once I really understood that, I realized I've been exhausting myself trying to manage things that were never mine to manage. I don't know if you're like that, but I used to spend a tremendous amount of time worrying, not planning, but worrying. What if this doesn't work? What if people don't like it? What if I fail? What if I make the wrong decision? I'd spend hours mentally trying to solve problems that hadn't even happened yet. And looking back, I realized that I wasn't preparing. I was rehearsing anxiety. Those are two totally different things. Then I started asking myself a simple question: what exactly am I trying to control? Other people's opinions? Can't control that. What about the economy? Can't control that either. What about the algorithm? Definitely can't control that. What about the weather? Nope. What about yesterday? Not a chance. The more honest I became, the longer the list got. And it was it was almost funny. I was spending so much mental energy on things that had absolutely no interest in asking for my permission. Then I made another list. What can I control? I can control whether I read today, whether I tell the truth, whether I prepare, whether I show up, whether I keep my word, whether I continue learning, whether I treat people with respect. The list was a lot shorter, but here's what surprised me: I was also much more powerful because everything on that list could actually change my life. And that mindset became more important as I built Black Logic Media. I can't control whether every documentary performs well. I can't control whether everyone agrees with my conclusions. I can't control YouTube or Google or the news cycle, but I can control the quality of my research, the integrity of my work, the consistency of my publishing, my willingness to improve. And over time, I realized that that is enough because excellence lives inside my circle. Recognition doesn't. So whenever I start feeling overwhelmed, I've learned to stop and ask myself one question: is this actually mine to carry? Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes the answer is no. And honestly, that question has brought me an incredible amount of peace because I realized something. Not every problem requires my attention. Not every argument deserves my participation. And learning that has been freeing. This is where responsibility becomes really, really interesting. Responsibility doesn't mean carrying everything, it means faithfully carrying what's actually yours to carry. And there's wisdom in knowing the difference. Sometimes the most responsible thing that you can do is let go of something you were never supposed to carry in the first place. So here's something I'd encourage you to do: take out a piece of paper, Draw two columns. At the top of one, write within my control. At the top of the other, write outside my control. Then start filling them in. And I think you'll be surprised. And once you've finished, make a decision. Spend more time living in the first column, because that's where your influence is. That's where your growth is. And I believe that that's where your peace is too. The older I get, the more I realize life isn't asking me to control everything. It's asking me to steward what's been placed in my hands. Nothing more. Nothing less. And that's become one of the most freeing ideas that I've ever discovered. Thanks for spending some time with me. I'll see you in the next conversation.